person. This person was one of the first people that trusted me, as far as the whole coaching thing goes. And I'm grateful, but she trusted me, but there were a lot of severe or serious things that were going on that were a little overwhelming for me, because I was hit with like a major person, my first client. I wasn't hit with like a person that was kind of pretty something that wasn't that bad. But again, for those that are just meeting me, my name is Arnold Austin, and I appreciate everybody that tuned in. If you're on, I just clicked into the YouTube. That chat is up. I got the chat for TikTok is up. I got moderators in both chats. So if you go over there, just kind of keep track of what's going on. Moderators, kind of encourage people to get involved with the chat. There's certain things that I'm going to say that are going to be buzzwords throughout the teachings that I'm going to go through, because I like to try to get people involved as I teach and as I share. But when you look at courage represents that. It represents that there's going to be things that are going to come up in our lives that are that we're going to be uncomfortable with doing. The thing is with courage is that courage does not represent that there will be an absence of fear. But what courage represents is that beyond being besides being in a fearful place, that what we're going to do is we're going to go get up and we're going to go take action and do the thing that needs to be done. And so when this young lady was talking to me and she was sharing certain information, some of the information, it could be triggering to some people. So I'm asking that you take everything kind of with a grain of salt, because and I'm not going to get too graphic, but I mean, her story was a very, very challenging story, because her story, it went to the place of me talking to her about, her past and where she came from. And in the process of talking about these things, I'm not going to tell you who the person is. I'm just going to give you basic little pointers. In the process of me having a conversation with this individual, she began to tell me that she doesn't trust men. And so my question to her was, what do you think the experiences were that pushed you to that point where you could no longer trust men, or that you feel like men aren't something or someone that was a safe space for you? And it ended up taking her back to her father. Some of the things, and this is why I say certain things, because many things that we go through and many things that we embrace or that happen within our lives are directly connected. If we can get some more people over here on the YouTube, it's Healing Hearts Network by Arnold Austin on the YouTube. Do you hear my sound? Is my sound well? Is everything? The sound is good? Let me know in the chat. Yeah. So in the process of me asking her a couple questions, what happened was she ended up explaining to me certain things that happened, when she throughout her youth, and how that those things were directly connected to her mindset and her thinking and her thoughts towards men. And part of it was important that I knew this stuff, because just like when I was going through my healing, I needed a woman that I could trust. And it just so happened that God blessed that the woman that came into my life, that was my coach, she was someone that had gone through similar experiences, so there was a relatability. She was a little bit older than me, but she had a lot of wisdom, and basically she was a voice, but she was a female voice giving me another perspective. And I needed that. And that's the same way that my coaching sessions with her were this individual were, is that because I was coming from a male's perspective, it was beneficial to her, because I was allowing her to understand that there was that not all men are the same. She needed to understand that and this is part of what I try to share with people all the time. Not every person that's a male is the same. Not every woman is the same. Everybody's going to be different based upon the decisions. Our differences is based upon the decisions that we make. It's not based upon anything else. It's based upon, are you willing to make the decision that you need to make, that your life can start changing and that you can get to the next level. So long story short, she told me certain stories which made a big impact. And one of the stories that kind of stuck out was she talked about that she lived a life of always being in fear. And that's not something that I personally could relate to. I couldn't personally relate to it. But just because when you're a coach, that doesn't mean, or even if you're somebody that's a friend, that does not mean that you're going to be able to relate to everything that a friend of yours and associate of yours has gone through. But part of it is not necessarily us understanding or knowing everything, but part of it is us being an ear, being a person that is available to hear them, and to respect them, and to honor them in that moment. And part of honoring someone in that moment is is through our hearing. It's through us actually hearing them out, allowing them to talk, allowing them to say the things that they need to say to get these things off of their heart. So as she began to talk, she mentioned certain events that would take place. A lot of the events were based upon, it could be one little thing that happens and the whole house would be in an uproar based upon this man's energy. And she also mentioned that part of it was it was tied into the religion that they were in because and I'm sharing this because it's some of the things that we're trained in, or some of the things that we're in, just because we were trained and we're in these things, it does not mean that it's right. It's something that we know up until that point. And just because we know something up to that point, that does not mean that it is all the truth. There's still something maybe else out there that we can learn, that we can gather, we can gain. Appreciate y'all chatting. Appreciate the chats that are moving. Thank y'all for connecting. But so long story short, she talked about different events, and one of the events that stood out to me the most is, he would do the type of things that he would initiate fear in her heart. And he would do it in the form of, he would say, I'm going to run this truck off this bridge, off the bridge. And these are little kids, little girls. And she said all she remembered was screaming and crying, because not only would this individual say words like that, but then they would rev up this vehicle and they would drive this vehicle over this bridge and act like they were going to go off, just so that her and her sister would be screaming and crying. But that's not the part that was the hardest for her. That was difficult, but the part that was the most difficult was when her sister, because her sister was more courageous than her, because she was a little bit older. When her sister would go to the people that were the leaders in that church that they were going to, they wouldn't listen to her. So they didn't have a voice. They had no one that was there to hear them in their time of need, because they believed who their father was, because he was a leader of some sort in that particular denomination. And I don't know the denomination, and I don't care about the denomination. The only thing I'm talking about is this, is something, it's that when you're going through healing, it's going to require a lot of courage. For me, I told her, I said, you telling me a story like that, that takes a lot of courage. And it took a lot of a belief in you that you're going to share something with me, and to know that it's a safe space. It's a safe space. And this is part of the reason why I like not being on certain sites, because then you can actually have real true conversations. I'm not talking about the conversations where people have when people are talking about, oh, I'm married and I've been married for 10 years and I got a side person, and me and my side person, I'm trying to convince my husband to let me keep my side person. I'm not talking about that nonsense. I'm not talking about that foolishness. I'm talking about people that are serious about figuring their lives out and healing and getting past where they are. I'm not talking about all this other stuff that's the popular podcast, because that stuff, if that's the stuff that they're promoting, I wouldn't be interested in being involved with those conversations, because that's going to trigger me, because that's foolishness to me, because that's not helping anybody. How is that helping somebody having a stupid conversation about something like that? That's not helping anybody. That's perpetuating more damage within society. And so as we're having this conversation, or excuse me, as she's having the conversation, because I'm just listening, because part of the job as a coach is not to talk. Your job is to listen. Your job is to be ears. Your job is to ask them the right questions that they need, so that they can make the right decisions to move their life on in the next direction. And so as we were talking about this, there's certain things that were coming up, and certain techniques that I use and I did with her. I'm not going to share it on here. But there were certain meditation techniques and certain things that I did with her, because when you've gone through a lot of trauma like that, and I mentioned this yesterday or the day before, you have to go through a process, and you have to get back to a place where you're regulating your nervous system. When you've been around a lot of chaos and a lot of trauma, your nervous system is all chaos. You're all frazzled. It's burnt. You don't have any peaceful times. Everything is full steam ahead. It's 100 miles an hour. And that's not the way that we're supposed to live. If we lived back in other times when there were wild animals walking around, yeah, you had to always be on high alert. And of course, we understand that if you were in certain environments and grew up in certain maybe cities and things like that, you're more on high alert based upon things that have happened, based upon exposure to certain other things. But part of the thing that I was sharing with her is that I said, for you to even consider using me as a coach, for you to come to me and talk to me, for you to share this information, for you to be at a place where you have the mindset to even want to heal, you're a person that's full of a lot of courage. And the part about the courage that was so devastating is that when you've been in difficult situations like that, what it did was it perpetuated in her adult life. The person that she had been with, it was a physically a relationship. There was physical actions in that relationship. So what it did was she had to understand what was the connection between this person that she was now with and where did it come from? And where it stemmed from was because there was never anything resolved with that parent that was supposed to be a protector. That's why a lot of people's and I don't like to use parents as an excuse, but my point is a lot of people, based upon where they've come, they are products of their environment because it's all they knew. She didn't have any alternative of any other way to live. She's a little girl, 6, 7, 5, 8, whatever the age is. She was a little girl. What could she do about her situation? When her older sister reached out to try to get some resolution about her situation, there was nothing that anybody did for her. So it made them go through a place of rebellion. So this is where all of the actions went in, and the promiscuity and the drugs and the substances and the things and TikTok. That was this is a joke. We're not saying anything. We're saying this is only good things. TikTok. We're only saying good things over here. We're only encouraging people and sharing with people. And but this is where a lot of because when we don't get heard, then we're going to try to find there will be a cry for help. There will be a reaching out. This is why, to me, it's important that we are in a place, this is all of us, that we are in a place that we are consciously aware of every person around, the people around us that we love. Just because someone around you is a positive person, they're the one that's encouraging everybody, they're the one that's always upbeat, they're the one that's always there for everybody, that does not mean that when they go through a difficulty that everybody's supposed to abandon them. But many times that's what happens. They're the person that gets abandoned because everybody's mindset is, oh, they don't need anything. Oh, they're fine. Well, no, maybe they just need somebody to call them and say, yo, you good? Are you good? You need something? It doesn't have to be anything extensive, but it's about, this whole selfish mindset of not considering other people. There has to be a balance. Yes, we should be self-sufficient and we should love ourselves and we should esteem ourselves and we should have a great self-image. But part of life is living life is loving other people, having our relationships, those that we're meeting. How can I be a benefit to humanity and mankind? So as we're going on this journey, because we're still on this journey. So as we're going on this journey, one of the things with courage, like I said, is courage doesn't represent the absence of fear. Because there's still a lot of fear in all of us when we're going through our difficulties. But what it represents is that even though I'm afraid, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. The thing with fear is that if we don't address fear, what happens is fear is going to grow. It's going to grow. Because by default, we're showing that we have faith in that fear. And by having faith in the thing that we fear, and faith when I'm saying faith, that means that it represents that we're believing in the fear that is presented before us. It's going to grow. It's going to flourish in our lives. So this is why, part of life is that we have to address those things which we are afraid. And the things that I'm talking about addressing are things that are concerning things that are going to make you better. And I'm talking about this because even like when I look at my own personal life, when I first got on social media, I talked about this to a friend the other day. When I first got on social media, I was on Facebook. When I first got on Facebook, I'm going to say probably the first couple years, there was no photos of me up there on Facebook for the first couple years. And part of it, I don't know why. And I was in real estate. So what I would do is we were building houses, we were flipping houses, we were doing a bunch of stuff. And so what I would do is as I went through these houses, I would film all of the rooms and I would talk. I would talk on the mic or talk on the phone behind, and I would record each room and go through everything and just record everything. And it wasn't until one day I was at one of my job sites with one of my sons, and he started recording me. And I was just doing what I normally do. Because what I normally do is I'm walking through and I'm saying, yeah, this is the dining room, and we did this, we put crown on there, we put travertine, and we did it. And that's just what I would normally do. And in the process of doing that, he started recording me. And so when he started recording me, and once I watched the video, I was like, oh God, I just posted it. And so that started kind of the thing of actually getting on and putting myself on. So what I'm saying is that all of us have to start somewhere. It's not the great big steps. It's the small steps. The small steps. It's the small steps that we can take to start getting ourselves back and getting ourselves into place. I appreciate everybody that's commenting down and tapping it down in YouTube. Appreciate y'all being down there. Anybody have any questions or any statements, you can put it in the chat, and I'll see. I'm going to look at the chat in YouTube. Because I can't really see TikTok, because if I look at TikTok, then I got to look this way. So I got to look here. And there's too much stuff going in there. And I made a mistake and hit the boxes, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it. But I'm really, really excited to be with y'all today. This is a touchy subject, and I was a little back and forth with it. But it's something that we have to discuss, because when you're going through healing, part of it is that you have to understand is that it's going to take a lot of courage. It's going to take courage for you to like I wrote this quote down. I was looking up a quote before I got on here. And this is a quote that I wrote. I believe this is one of the quotes I wrote in my book. It said, knowing when to walk away is wisdom. Being able to is courage. So think about that. Knowing when to walk away from something is wisdom. Being able to walk away, that there's things that are going on in our lives, and at some point we're going to have to leave. We're going to have to move ourselves out of these particular situations, because this is no longer something that's healthy. If you're in a physically abusive or physical confrontation relationship, then that's no longer healthy. And so at some point, hopefully you can gather the courage where you can start moving yourself out of that, right? Do you have courage to leave that type of relationship? Do you have the courage to change your body? Huh? Do you have the courage to believe that you can start another company after your last one failed? Do you have the courage to believe in love? And I'm just giving a general basis of this tonight, and I'll get into more detail the next time we get together, probably Monday. But I wanted to give y'all something. And do you have the courage to start over after divorce? Many people that ask me concerning dating again, they're saying that they're showing that they have the courage, even though they might have had a bad experience. They're saying indirectly that they have the courage to start over, which that's a great thing. And do you have the courage to heal? And those are questions that I'm going to end with you. And I'm really, really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Yeah, it does. It does take self-forgiveness. It does take self-forgiveness blessings, but I can't look over there. But yeah, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm going to shut this YouTube down. If you can, tap the screen, share out the live, like the live. I appreciate any gifts or anything that you've given. You can hit those hearts, you can hit the little fuzzy Confederate and blah blah and so on and so forth. Thank you, Renee. Oh, hold on, Renee. Give me 1 second, Renee. Hold on, Renee. I need to. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on, Renee. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Hey, Renee, see if that's the one that you need. I just changed it for you. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Now, what I'm going to do is if you want to come in, I guess you want to come in the boxes Friday night. The boxes are already up. I'll turn some music on. If there's a topic that y'all want to discuss, then what you can do is put your topic in the chat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this YouTube down. And we're here Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if I'll be here next Friday because next Friday is my B day. Come on, y'all. Stop playing with me. So, like I always say, I believe in you, but like you gotta believe in yourself. Talk to you soon. I'm ending the stream. All right. And that. Hey, Google.